So this coming Sunday, in the comforts of their home, Levi Stadium, my San Francisco 49ers welcome in Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucs in what is the start of an important 4-game stretch for them in Week 11, ladies and gentlemen. It all starts in Week 11 and the beginning of a 4-game stretch. So why do I say it's an important one for my San Francisco 49ers at this point of the 2023 NFL season? Well, I say it's an important one because, well, this is a team like in the Tampa Bay Bucs that you cannot overlook because just a few short days later, you're playing the Seattle Seahawks on the road in Thanksgiving in prime time. And, well, we all know what happened the last time you played Seattle on Thanksgiving. But nonetheless, after that, you play the Philadelphia Eagles in that NFC title rematch in Philadelphia. And then you have to come back at home to play the Seahawks again in a rematch. But yeah, it's an important 4-week stretch for the San Francisco 49ers. But we don't want to overlook things. I'm just pointing out the obvious. So that all begins here in Week 11 against the Tampa Bay Bucs. So here we are. Yeah, Week 11. And it's a kind of, I say every matchup is an important one for my 49ers. But, I mean, this game is no exception. At least for the 49ers, they got their mojo back after, a 3-game losing skid going to their Week 9 bye week. And then coming out of that bye week, they at least looked fresh. They finally looked fresh and almost back to their form of their 5-0 winning streak as they went to the land of all elite. They saw the desperation of Tony Khan's Jaguars, and they beat the brakes out of them. Brock Purdy looked like his normal self again with a 3-touchdown game. And, it helped that he got one of his receivers back in Deebo Samuel. And his left tackle, Trent Williams, was back in the offensive line. And he had a 3-touchdown game. And defensively, they had that trade at the trade deadline for edge rusher Chase Young from the Commanders. And it had its early dividends. It especially helped Nick Bosa on the other end. The pass rush looked really rejuvenated for once in, I don't know how long it's been since this season started. They made life miserable for Trevor Lawrence in that Week 10 matchup. So they beat the brakes off of the Jaguars 34-3 in last week's game. And meanwhile, for their opponent coming in to Levi's, the Tampa Bay Bucs, they were also on their own losing skid. They started the season 3-1. But unfortunately, they have had a bad string of losses. A lot of those losses were close ones, by the way. But in Week 10, they managed to end that skid against Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans, 20-6. Baker Mayfield threw for 2 touchdowns to his receivers, Rashad White and Mike Evans. Those were enough to put the game out of reach for Tennessee, from Tennessee, mind you. And that Bucs defense made Will Levis, he was a rookie, but they made him look like a rookie after Levis, had some very solid performances the 2 games prior. But nonetheless, they sacked him 4 times. They forced an interception out of him. And yeah, they beat the brakes out of Will Levis and the Titans in that game. So, it's kind of a eerie feeling for both of these teams. For the Bucs, the last time they met these 49ers, they were clearly limping into that game. They were kind of coming in, kind of feeling good about themselves after that win, that last minute win over the Saints. And then they come into Santa Clara going to face a quarterback that was drafted very last in the NFL draft that year, who was getting his very first start. You still had Tom Brady as your quarterback at the time. And then you get your butts whooped. You get your butts whooped by Brock Purdy and the 49ers on that day. And Tom Brady, who was still your quarterback at the time, he did not do great on that day. But it's a new year. Yes, it is. And this Bucs team is much healthier now. And they still are relatively healthy, aside from a few players that are not available for the season, that is out for this game. But nonetheless, they are healthy for this game. Same thing for the Niners. They're also relatively healthy, and they have a couple players out for this game, which I'm going to mention. But nonetheless, this both of these teams are relatively different from when we last saw them. Because, last time these two met back in 2022 when Brock Purdy made his first start, much different feeling this time around. So the Bucs definitely have some things to watch out for, at least this time around. In terms of the injury report for this game, like I said before, Tampa is relatively healthy. The only player that's going to be missing this game is Ryan Neal, the safety. He's out with a thumb injury. For my 49ers, they're getting healthier. I say healthier again because they had been dealing with some injuries during their 3-game losing skid. But everyone's relatively healthy. The only red dot that I would say going into this game is left guard Aaron Banks. He's still out with a toe injury, although Kyle Shanahan said that he could have a chance to come back in the Seattle game a couple days later when they have to go up there and play Seattle on Thanksgiving. Some questionables for this game for San Francisco include the people that had their practice windows open. Those include the rookies Darrell Luter Jr., the corner, and edge rusher Robert Beal. So who knows, maybe they'll get their first crack at playing in an NFL game. And then you have the second or third year corner Samuel Womack, who dealt with his own injury. So he may be coming into this game. Maybe he's also listed as questionable, but you also have to think, who are they going to replace on that 53-man roster? It is full. You also had questions about right tackle Colin McKivitz. He left that game with minor ankle and knee injuries, and he also really got his butt whooped in that Jacksonville game. I mean, he was going up against, I think it was Josh Allen, not the quarterback, the edge rusher, or was it Trayvon Walker? Either one of those, but regardless, he was getting his butt whooped. There was this video of him he was getting mollywopped. He literally got yeeted all the way on the other side of the field. just theoretically speaking, but nonetheless, I mean, he was going into this week. Everyone was a little concerned, but nonetheless, he's not listed on the injury report, so that's good news for the 49ers. But I just hope that he plays better. He just plays better because the Bucs defensive line, it's still kind of a force to be reckoned with, but not the same as past years, but still, you got to worry about them a little. A little bit of interesting news for the San Francisco 49ers heading into this game is that, maybe they could get a little bit of corner help in the form of Jason Verrett. Some of you may be familiar with him. He was with the Niners during the pandemic year. And, I mean, it could help if they do sign him to the practice squad. That's what the reports are saying, that they're trying to get him on the practice squad after he was released from the Texans. But, he's had a curious injury history. He just can't stay healthy, which is unfortunate. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, could use some extra help at corner because, our secondary is very suspect at times. So looking at the keys to victory for this game, for both of these teams, for the Tampa Bay Bucs, you have a pretty solid pass rush, and the Niners offensive line is it's something that they just refuse to invest in. So for the Bucs, you attack one of the Niners' biggest weaknesses, and that's the right side of the offensive line. You attack Spencer Burford. You attack Colton McKivitz. The Jaguars have had some success with that during some parts of that game until it turns into a complete blowout. But it at least exposed some cracks that right guard Spencer Burford and Colton McKivitz were starting to show in that game. So whoever lines up there, whether it be Vita Vea, one of their top defensive linemen, if he draws up Burford, he could cause some issues for that 49ers offensive line. And it could draw up some draw the 49ers out of sync early and maybe often, especially with Brock Purdy, because if Brock Purdy doesn't have a sturdy offensive line, he could be in trouble. And then offensively, Baker Mayfield, he's been having a pretty decent showing in Tampa, but in order for them to pull off the upset, you got to limit the turnovers. Even though they won last week in Tennessee, he still had a bad interception, but if he wants to win against a better team in the 49ers, he has to play a turnover-free game against the 49ers defensive front that has suddenly refound its spark in Jacksonville and looks to maintain that spark at home against Tampa Bay. For my 49ers, this is something I really hope that Kyle Shanahan uses in this game, especially if this Tampa front is as legit as we think it is, or if it's like as decent as we think it is. Utilize the screen pass even more, because there were flashes of that, of Kyle Shanahan like calling screen passes when, you know, you had Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen like running, blitzing, and doing whatever he can to get to Brock Purdy like at a very fast rate. So if you want to really slow down these pass rushes, go for the screen. It doesn't hurt you. I know I get it. He's been saying like it's really nice to have a quarterback that can like really go downfield, that can really make those deep ball home run kill passes. But you know, it doesn't always hurt to go for the screen passes, because, well, you know, every time you have to set up for those deep ball home run kills, it takes up a lot of time. Especially Brock Purdy can't find those guys to set up those home run deep ball kills. So, you know, it'd be a little nice if they utilize the screen pass just a little bit more, especially in this game against Tampa, because, you know, not to overlook, you have an even deadlier pass rush to deal with in Philadelphia in a couple weeks. So these two games are a nice little opportunity to try to find that balancing act. And then defensively, you know, we all know that Nick Bosa and Chase Young duo is already paying dividends, but I'd like to see the interior pass rush of Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead step up a little, because, you know, they've had some decent amount of pressures and sacks so far this year. I mean, Javon Hargrave's name has been called up recently, but I like to see some consistency heading into this big 4-game stretch. I'd like to see Hargrave and Armstead generate a lot more pressure. I mean, sacks are a little hard to come by, and I get it, but create some problems inside against opposing quarterbacks. So yeah, I think the Niners, I mean, I can't guarantee anything these days, but hopefully they continue to keep their momentum going against this Tampa squad. And I mean, just hoping something good happens, something positive happens. Just take care of business. That's all that matters. And hopefully offensively, Brock Purdy continues to show that, yeah, his offense will continue to produce, especially against a familiar foe that he had his first career start against. I know Tom Brady's not on the other side to fumble things up, but hey, why not lightning strike twice again? So we will see. An important 4-game stretch coming up against for the 49ers, and it all starts against Tampa Bay at home. And, well, all I can say is they got to pull out the win. They got to pull out the win game by game. That's all I could say. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this upcoming game for the 49ers in Week 11 against the Tampa Bay Bucs in the comments below. And it's going to be very hectic this coming week with Thanksgiving. There's going to be a 49ers recap and a 49ers preview, like rapid this coming week. So I'm going to try to get those out to you as soon as I can, along with a bunch of other stuff that I have planned with the NFL. And yeah, there's also wrestling stuff coming up, but nonetheless, it should be a very interesting week with Thanksgiving and trying to prepare for that as well. But anyway, as for right now, let me know your thoughts on this 49ers game coming up against the Bucs in the comments below. You can also give me your score predictions as well. But until then, as always, keep the lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.